get to this, you know, you moving up to middle, did you want to change things? Were you going to get a nutritionist? Did you really think about that deep?
Not really. I think just instead of eating one cheeseburger, I eat two. So, you know, I didn't put much thought into it. I go to obviously Colin for every piece of advice, and yeah, I was always big for middleweight, so I was probably walking around at a middleweight fighting at welter. So I don't, as I say, the changes was only just like a little bit of strengthening, you know, just little tweaks instead of. I know that Brian Ortega, you know, I get on well with him, is just recently like changed up his whole camp, I've heard, and you know that's probably best for him. But after like people lose, like AJ lost to Ruiz, people were telling him to sack his trainer and that, and it's, you know what, don't get me started, I'll go on a rant, it just fucking pisses me off because it's like the grass is always greener on the other side, and people are just so fucking disloyal, and I'm not. As I've said from the start, I believe in my team, and we win together and we lose together, and they believe in me. So, you know, little small changes is what I think is needed in every fighter, you know. So all this, like, you know, when you lose, oh, that needs to be changed and that. Maybe you need to change. Maybe you're the problem. You know, you hear of some guys, they've had like 10 different gyms in the past 5 years. In my eyes, they're the problem, not the gyms. So it's like, you know, only little things needed to be changed.
Yeah. And when you stepped up, well, you said it yourself, everyone said for so long, oh, he's such a big welter.
Yeah.
You know, when's he going to move up and whatnot? What made it the right time? What was the allure to finally move up?
Kelvin, just like the challenge, like, because I was sort of thinking, oh, well, I can make welterweight if I count myself with a struggle, but then I'm a middleweight, and then you know, it was back and forth, and Ariel Helwani asked me a lot of questions, and then the Kelvin fight, I was just like, oh, do you know what? There's nothing to lose yet. You know, I don't mind taking a smack in the mouth. So why would I not want to take the fight? Probably all the fighters would not take it because it'd be my third loss. You know what? I don't think like that. I just really don't think like that. Honestly. It's like a situation, it's like do or die for me, and whether you think I'm going to win or lose, there's no one in this room or on this planet who can not respect me for taking the fight.
Yeah, mentally, obviously coming back from the 2 losses, that's obviously mentally as important as anything in this game. Was there a temptation you think, oh, I've got unfinished business at welterweight, or was there any of that, or how was Dana White, what was his say on it?
I still have unfinished business at welterweight, so let me play out this next year. Let me see if I get the Anfield fight. You know, I'm not looking past Calvin, but let me see what happens this year. You know, I've still got a few names at welterweight who I want to take out, so it's not impossible to go back down. I can do it. You know, no one cuts weight like me, no one, so I can do it. You know. So, to answer it really, I still have unfinished business.
I know you said you're not going to really focus on the middleweight title picture, but what did you make of Stylebender against Whittaker? What did you make of this performance?
I just didn't expect it. I just thought that Whittaker was, because I'd seen the 2 fights with YOEL, but then again, people say that after fighting YOEL, you're not the same. So, you know, I'm glad I'm not fighting him because you know, he's a scary dude. But it was phenomenal. I couldn't say any more. Goodness to him, we actually speak. We speak nearly every week. Me and Israel, you know, we got a good relationship. It doesn't change the fact I still want to punch a hole in his face, and he does to me. But unbelievable. And now I've seen he's just buying like a supercar and stuff like that. As I said, same thing to Masvidal. Nothing but. There's only a few guys in the UFC who I just think you're a prick. The rest have got no animosity. If they're making 100 million or whatever, why should I hate? I should aspire to get that and be like that. You know, it should motivate me as well.
And obviously this is your first non-main event nearly 2 years, and obviously you're training for a 3-round fight now. How have you tweaked your training just for a 3-round fight, or is it just training for 5 rounds as usual?
Yeah, it's been like sort of in between. Usually I remember for the Woodley fight, the fittest I've ever been, me and Colin, you know, after a run and before training, we're doing 10-5s on pads. So now obviously there's less rounds, but still at the same time, you know, we're doing, you know, double of what the fight is in rounds wise, sparring and pads and stuff like that. So you know, it's still sort of the same, but in your mind, every fighter will probably agree. It's just like, oh, I don't have to go them 5, you know, and it's 3. You can actually go 3 5s and you can go all out. So no, that's why I know it's going to be a good fight.
You talk about guys that you might have unfinished business with at welterweight. I'm guessing that Colby Covington's one of them. He's the most divisive guy in the sport right now.
Not really. Me and him we had a little bit of chatter, but never really crossed paths. I feel like he's on a totally different path. I feel like that fight with Usman was always a fight I wanted. As much as a lot of people tried to avoid him, that was a fight I wanted to get. And obviously with him being the champ now, and you know, you never say never. You know, Masvidal, maybe I could get back at him. I think by the time I've gone through all I'm going through now and whatever, Woodley will probably be maybe retired or whatever. I don't see him staying around much longer. But like, yeah, there's a few unfinished business.
So he's never antagonised you at all or irritated you in anything that you said? Maybe it's not been directed at you, but...
Do you know what? Really, I'm just not as stupid as everyone else. It's just an act. Everyone else is just...
If you were on the receiving end of it though...
I just couldn't...
You'd just laugh at him or...
If you heard the conversations I have with my friends, you'd know that stuff like what he says just really wouldn't affect me. It's like... I just know that's just an act, so... I don't... Obviously for the fans and building fights up, it's great, but as a fighter, if you take what he says personal, you've got a lot of issues with yourself. So yeah, if we ever fight, I'll build a fight and I'll call him names, and you know, I'm not like other fighters. I wouldn't push him if he ever said something from me. I'd smack his jaw straight off. But that's that. You know, I would never take anything personally he says, because to be totally honest, words don't really affect me.
A local question, sorry. What's brought you to Nottingham and what have you made of what they've got here?
I heard that they do a lovely Five Guys, so I've come to check out. Yeah. But it's UFC gym, obviously, you know, it's unbelievable facility, and the UFC got in touch with me and asked me if I'd like to come down and do a bit of training, you know, obviously, and promote the gym and get all the media down. So, you know, here I am, and you know, I'm going to enjoy the few hours that we're here, enjoy the training, enjoy the facility, and you know, that's it really.
Who do you think's going to win out of Colby and Usman?
I think if you put them both together, they're the same fighter. But Usman is a bit... Look at Dan agreeing. You know what? Is this the fight we're agreeing for once? Yeah. I think Usman has got everything that Colby has, just a bit better. I think he's got more power. I think... I don't know who's got the bigger gas tank. I know that Colby has got an unbelievable gas tank. So I think Usman just edges it. But... You know, when I look like what he done to Laura, a lot of people said Laura wasn't the same. I don't feel like that. I feel like Colby was just too much for Laura. So when you break a fight down, this is going back to that question. Because people hate Colby so much and take what he says so personal, they just want Usman to win. They're not looking as Colby. Colby's actually a terrific fighter. So if they forget all the fucking bullshit he says because he's just an idiot, he's actually a terrific fighter.
Obviously, you're going into. Obviously, you're going into this fight on the back.
I was getting on a roll there. Come on, let's go.
You're going into this fight on consecutive losses, and there was a bit of a social media backlash. You know how some MMA fans are kind of fickle and they turn. What's your message to these doubters? To everybody who's doubting you ahead of this top fight with Kelvin?
You know what? You know, as soon as I beat Kelvin and I get on that mic, make sure your camera's rolling because you'll know what I have to say. I'm not going to say it now, but I've got stuff to say to a lot of people. To a lot of people who don't believe in me and are so quick to turn their backs. And they know who they are. And a lot of the casuals know who they are, and I certainly know who they are. So make sure the camera's rolling when that mic gets put to me and my hands raised.
How do you see yourself finishing the fight?
Hopefully he just doesn't turn up and my hand gets raised. You know, that'd be the perfect thing.
Alright, thanks guys.
Yeah, thanks.
Right, we're gonna